Hi, it's Alaska Granny. I'm out at Granny Camp, which is my Alaska off-grid remote cabin. Today I wanted to talk about food banks and the foods most needed at food banks. What are the items that the food banks want to be able to hand out to people that are in need, and that's the foods that those people request. Food shortages are a reality, and if you don't think that this pandemic, COVID-19 coronavirus hasn't brought about food insecurity, you need to check how many people are going to your local food banks. The increase in people that need food has risen dramatically. You combine that with there is not always the food that we want in the store. We know there's been problems with meat packing plants harvesting crops, and now we've even had a huge explosion in Lebanon that destroyed the wheat and grain supply for an entire country. If you have the ability to share your food, then please make a donation if you have plenty. One of the ways you can do that is go through your food stockpile, and if you notice that your foods are almost expired but not gone past the best by use by sell by date, you can still donate it to a food pantry. You're not allowed to donate foods that have passed their expiration date, which is kind of a shame because a lot of food is still good and safe to eat. I've done a lot of videos about what you can do to inspect your expired food. It's not really expired, it's past the best by use by sell by date, and a lot of the foods are still very good to eat. A good reason to be aware of what foods the food bank would most like to have donated and people like to request is it's a good idea to see what kind of foods people in need are wanting. Those are foods that if you don't have them in your stockpile, you might want to make sure that you do. If you have extras of these items, you could donate it if you have extras that you can't use. It's also a good idea then if you're shopping and you can afford extra money, buy one for you, buy one to donate. It's all up to you. Most importantly, make sure that you have the food that you need so that you don't have to get at the end of the line of the thousands of people who are now in desperate need and are seeking food from the food bank. Food insecurity is going to be an ongoing problem. For example, right here in Alaska, we're having our second lockdown. The second wave is coming of COVID coronavirus, the pandemic. They're calling it a reset, that we're supposed to remain at home for 4 weeks. And if it's already starting in Alaska, where we have relatively few cases, in my opinion, I don't know what they're going to do across the lower 48 when there are millions and millions of people in the population. So it's a great time to look over the foods most needed at food banks. And the #1 category is all canned foods. They're asking for full, complete meals in a can. Soup, stew, chili, tamales, all the kind of meals that you can open the can and have a fully cooked meal, and you can have your meal from that. The next one is any kind of canned meat. Chicken, tuna, ham, Spam. There's lots of different kinds of canned meats. I know that I have found canned meats to be extremely in short supply during the last few months, and so it's no wonder that they're asking please donate some, because we can't even find any when we go to the store. So then it would be hard for a food bank to source those same foods to be able to give them away to those in need. Look for all different kinds of canned beans, canned fruits, and vegetables. Going along with all those kind of proteins is peanut butter. Peanut butter is a great staple to have on hand, and it's something that food banks give out all the time because it's simple, lots of people like it. If you have food allergies and you can't eat peanut butter, look for some of the other kind of nut butters. Next is the dried food categories, pastas and rice. Include sauce so that you're able to make a meal with your pasta. Look for packaged meals that you can cook mixes on top of your stove. Things like pastaroni, macaroni and cheese, stovetop stuffing, hamburger helpers, and rice mixes that you just need to add a few ingredients, and you can make a warm meal, maybe add a can of meat, and you have one of these packages can make a meal. Just add water. Baking mixes, things like pancake mix, mashed potatoes, biscuit mixes, muffin mixes. The ones where you just add water are simple to provide, and then they're easy to prepare because you may not have all of the extra ingredients like milk, eggs, and butter for some of the packaged mixed foods. Consider foods like granola bars, crackers, cereal. Choose hot cereals like oatmeal as well as boxes of cereal. One of the benefits of the dried cereal like oatmeal is that you can store it in your pantry for a long time and it's going to stay fresh long term. You just seal it in an airtight container, and things like oatmeal, grits, cream of wheat can last for many years. A box of cereal only lasts maybe 4 to 6 months before the contents become stale. These are all great examples of food banks, most needed food items. Make sure that you have enough of these basic food items in your pantry, and then if you have the ability, donate some to help those in need. Most of all, make sure you're stocking up so that you'll have the things that your family needs going forward. We don't know what the future holds, but when we look at what's going on with the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, and then you combine that with just the natural disasters that happen all the time anyway, it just makes sense to be a prepper. If you liked my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else who might like it. Learn more at alaskagranny.com, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.